warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi Bapak dan Ibu. Salam hangat dan salam sehat untuk kita semua. Kembali lagi bersama saya Khairul Musbida dalam acara webinar yang dipersembahkan oleh PCMan Indonesia. Sebelumnya saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih karena Bapak dan Ibu telah meluangkan waktunya untuk hadir bersama kami di sini. Dan saya ucapkan selamat datang dalam webinar Achieve An Uninterrupted Business with Zerto IT Resilience Platform. Baik, saya mohon kepada Bapak dan Ibu untuk menonaktifkan kamera dan juga mikrofonnya agar acara ini berjalan dengan kondusif. Kemudian bila Bapak Ibu ada pertanyaan, mohon sampaikan lewat kolom chat. Yang nantinya pada sesi Q&A, pertanyaan tersebut akan saya bacakan dan akan dijawab oleh para presenter. Kami juga mohon kepada Bapak dan Ibu untuk mengisi feedback form yang nantinya link feedback form tersebut akan kami share di kolom chat. Dengan mengisi feedback form tersebut, Bapak Ibu akan mendapatkan slide presentasi, rekap Q&A, dan juga rekaman webinar pada pagi hari ini. Selain itu, akan ada sesi door prize di akhir acara, di mana bagi Bapak Ibu yang sudah mengisi feedback form akan berkesempatan memenangkan hadiah, yaitu mendapatkan e-wallet saldo OVO atau GoPay senilai ratusan ribu rupiah. Nanti akan ada juara 1, juara 2, dan juga juara 3. Jadi Bapak Ibu dimohon untuk ikuti acara ini sampai akhir acara. Pada webinar kali ini, PCMan berkesempatan berkolaborasi dengan Zerto dan kami akan berbagi solusi mengenai cloud backup with Zerto. Jadi kalau Bapak Ibu pernah membayangkan atau bahkan pernah mengalami nih kehilangan data-data penting perusahaan karena sebuah bencana, baik itu bencana alam maupun human error, dengan cloud backup with Zerto ini dia akan memproteksi sistem, aplikasi, dan data sebelum atau sesudah bencana terjadi. Jadi jadi kita tidak perlu lagi khawatir akan resiko bencana yang bisa datang kapan saja. Baik, untuk lebih detailnya nanti akan dijelaskan oleh para presenternya. Langsung saja kita ke pembicara yang akan hadir, yaitu ada Raffi Krishnan yang merupakan Business Development Director dari Asia Pasifik, dan juga kemudian akan ada Bapak Poni Halim, VP of Technology dari PCMan. So, let's begin this webinar with the presentation from Raffi Krishnan. Hi, Raffi. Hello.
Hi, Ida. Thank you very much
for
the introduction.
Raffi?
Yeah, I'm sharing my presentation right now. I'm good. So just give me a second. Let me share my presentation. By the way, selamat siang to all. Good to have all of you in our session today. Looking forward to share the important message about data resiliency and platform resiliency with you all. I hope you all can see my screen. Ida, are you able to see?
I see your screen, Raffi.
Okay, fantastic. Let me make it full screen. And yeah, there we go. Right. So let's start with that. Fine. I will enable the camera during the Q&A session, so you can see my sleepy face. Right. Right now, I will make sure that you are able to see the slides well. So I will just disable my camera at the moment. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up and participating in our webinar about achieving an uninterrupted business with Zerto IT Resilience Platform. And I'm Ravi. I take care of APAC business for Zerto, and we are doing pretty well with the current ongoing pandemic and cloud hype that has been biting the region and the worldwide right now. And we've been assisting a lot of people in a lot of verticals, a lot of businesses, a lot of organization, and making sure their business continues despite all these current global activities. Right. Let me break the ice with what's ahead in this financial year. What would be the challenges for 2021 that we will look from the lens of trending and the hype, and how we can be ready with that. Perhaps a little bit of tips and business tips, and how we can actually sail through all these challenges. When we look at the last year, change has certainly been accelerated by the global crisis, which has created new challenges for the IT or increased the existing challenges. As we talk to clients, we hear three critical challenges came up over and over. First, of course, the data continues to grow exponentially, must be protected wherever it resides. Secondly, there is a tremendous pressures on IT to accelerate digital initiative to better address customers' needs. And this has meant an acceleration of cloud to deliver at speed of business. And lastly, we see heightened security threats with continued rise of ransomware and other type of malicious and malware attacks, and this has been very rampant. And in personal experience over the past couple of weeks, I have actually seen a lot of financial institutions, banks has been badly affected with ransomware, and we've been helping them hand in hand. And even in fact, 2 days ago, Acer Corporation has been hit by ransomware, where the hackers are requesting 100 million US dollars to release all their data. So this is becoming more rampant, more widespread, and becoming a trend. And we not only have to protect against cyber threats, it becomes a real, it's tangible. So something that you can feel around you nowadays, right? And we should able to bounce back from the ransomware. And throughout my presentation today, I actually plan to share you a case study which I will navigate and bring you in a journey where you can learn how Zerto helps a customer in the real world to protect and bounce back from the ransomware attacks, right? And underpinning these challenges is the growing demand for always on 24/7. So having said all these threats and challenges, how do we actually stay online? How do we serve customer without any disruptions? And that's what the core of this um, tech session is, this session is all about today. Customers and stakeholders, both internal and external, expect uninterrupted access to their data and application. They increasingly expect no downtime, no data loss. So we see IT turning its attention to the renewed focus on disaster recovery and backup to ensure that they can meet 24/7 business requirements. Let's take a close look of some of these use cases that our customers are looking to solve, right? So what you see on your screen is several use cases from the unplanned and planned. So what exactly I mean by that? Actually, the plan is what if this disruption that happens when disaster strikes, such as force majeure, natural disasters, ransomware, which can bring down your complete business. But then there are also more operational day-to-day disruption caused by user deleting critical file, database corruptions, issues that need a quick recovery, and perhaps there's a legal and compliance requirement to recover files from the further back in time. This unplanned disruption are drained on staff, time, and budget. Handling unplanned outages need to be simple, automated, and able to cover 100% of business requirements while minimizing resources and manual processes. Then there are planned disruption, what we call as good disruptions, which is part of our daily IT operations. IT must constantly evaluate and integrate new technologies into the operation to keep pace with the expectations and reduce costs. These business driving initiatives like migrations, moving to cloud, or testing new software are necessary, but also beware, it can be very, very disruptive, right? The challenge for IT team is to stay protected enough to efficiently handle the reactive natures of planned disruption while also being able to innovate through proactive disruption that deliver the business. So let's look at evolution of data protection right now. Okay, if we look at what IT organizations are typically using today to manage planned and unplanned disruption that we showed earlier or mentioned earlier, it's probably the legacy architecture using two or more solutions across disaster recovery and backup. The best in class DR is replication, right? But typically this is only for mission critical application because cost. But that's the only way you can deliver the stringent SLA needed for true DR. And for all the rest of applications, periodic snapshots are often used with backup solution that usually takes snapshot once a day, probably late at night, to avoid impact of production and mitigate long, complicated backup windows. And probably the same backup solution is used to put data in an offsite repository for long-term retention, typically for compliance or legal reason. That's what most companies are using today. There's a lot of drawbacks here, especially when you look at the need for an always on business. So let's look how we are changing the most companies are using today, right? So first, we introduce CDP, continuous data protection, to the market to dramatically evolve how DR is done. We changed the industry by offering RPO in sub-seconds and RTO of minutes in order to drastically reduce the data loss and downtime. And we did all these with fully orchestrated and radically simple approach to failover. Failback, failover, non-disruptive testing. That's it. And today, we still have gold standard when it comes to disaster recovery for mission critical application and those tier 1 and tier 2 VMs, virtual machines. However, we saw some of our customers still deployed a second solution alongside with Zerto for the backup use case, even though they weren't thrilled with the complexity of that solution, weren't thrilled with the cost, certainly didn't have confidence that even lower tier servers could be successfully recovered if needed, but very justified cost and affordable. Customers like you constantly told us that they want single, simple platform to meet all their data protection needs at the standard they would become accustomed to Zerto. So what Zerto has done to address this gap is to bring top tier continuous data protection and deliver it for all the application and workload. So you have a single solution that addresses your DR recovery, backup, and your archival in terms of long-term retention, right? And we have done this across uh, all the platforms, right? All the virtual and cloud platform. No longer is CDP relegated to only mission critical VMs, and no longer do customers have to micromanage legacy point solutions that don't provide fast granular recoveries. By making the move to continuous, our customers can meet the demands of 24/7 business, no matter what's the protection challenge looks like and it poses to the environment. So this is a little bit of evolution of data protection and how we played our role in actually changing the landscape by reducing the RPO and RTO and provide very quick recovery to the clients worldwide, right? And also, I would like to share with you, if you want to make your organization resilient, that means bulletproof against any type of distribution, disruption. Um, there are 5 traits that normally this particular organization will possess or they strive to, right? So Harvard Business Review have done a recent survey with almost more than 2,000 uh, C-suits across global regions, and majority of them actually anticipate the kind of disruption they're going on like right now with pandemic and work from home, data sprawling everywhere and so on. So they kind of like expect this kind of event to be repeated, or it's going to happen in more regular interval. So what are the characters or what are the traits of the organization that are very resilient? There are 5 of it, and I would like to share that with you today, right? It's a very interesting study that has been concluded recently. And the first one is, of course, the preparedness. So any organization that bound to be resilient, they make sure they use advanced technologies and prepare themselves for and anticipate for all this kind of disruption. And they build very comprehensive crisis response scenarios and playbooks that has been communicated, has been addressed to all of the internal and external stakeholders, right? That's pretty much one of the first and very important trait of any organization. Second is adaptability, right? And they invest and adopt the new technologies that help them to boost the adaptability. That means they can change according to the need of the market, need of the current situation, and need of the climate, right? And third one, of course, um, the collaborative, right? It's always ongoing issue with the how to manage internal and external stakeholder, right? And with the current situation where all the CEOs and CIOs, CFOs expect the workforce gonna go remote permanently, is no more an option. And the seamless collaboration, and you got to make sure it is pretty secure. And as I mentioned earlier during our session, all the organizations that are not ready for cyber threats are heavily affected by ransomware attacks nowadays. So this is really critical. While you're giving flexibility for your workforce to work remotely, you need to buckle up, right? You need to buckle up, make sure that anticipate the worst case scenario with cyber threats, and make sure your environment are prepared, right, to face that kind of situation when the crisis arises. You got to conduct regular stress tests, make sure that you're pandemic proof, you are disruption proof, and you are resilient, and that response really counts. And this should not affect your productions that's ongoing 25 by 7, right? And the fourth one, of course, trustworthy. So what would be customers or clients perception if your organization has been affected by ransomware? Definitely very damaging. Customer will have a trust deficit. They will find it very difficult to work to purchase anything from your organization. They will the back of their mind, they always feel that you are providing a very insecure environment for them to do the basic selling and purchasing, and that will definitely will hit your top line as well as bottom line in terms of dollars and cents, right? So you got to make sure that you have actually disseminated the information, and how actually you are foolproof against the cyber threats and all the unplanned and planned disasters, right? And when it happens. And the fifth one is pretty much my favorite, in the line of ESG, environment, security, and governance, which is, of course, the responsibility that we carry within the organization. So the culture of responsibility. Well, as I always say, life exists beyond the bottom line numbers, right? So organizations that serve their communities and the world tend to strive and thrive when crises happen, when the adversities is there, right? And so it's very important for them to the any organization to create a culture that's being a responsible business, and that culture will be passed down to the employees. And if you are transparent to your staffs, internal and external stakeholders, and with great care for ESG issues, right? This will definitely increase your business exponentially, right? So this reputation carries you towards the in the markets and so on. So this is a kind of like findings from Harvard Business Review, and one of the top world business and management consulting school, right? And I hope this information will provide you some kind of reflection, and what kind of characteristic you need to instill in your organization to be totally resilient. All right, that's pretty much of it. Now a little bit about ourselves. Who's Zerto? Well, part of the reason I'm excited to talk with you today is because our vision to enable an uninterrupted world for all technology users, consumers, and businesses to help execute this vision, we have been building global business since 2009, and that's currently serving over nearly 10,000 customers across all industries in 80 plus countries right now. And it's not just us, there are 1,500 partners that shares our vision, including strategic partnership, alliances with many other organizations you also rely on. Okay, so that's a little bit about us. And since 2011 we have been making our mark. There are four major milestones that we have made it until 2021. When we introduced hypervisor based replication back in 2011, it delivered the fastest RPOs and RTOs and changed how DR is done. Right, we quickly become a leader in a DR. This is our forte. Disaster recovery with CDP based replication has been our expert area, and over the years we have evolved and expanded our cloud platform, including hybrid and multi-cloud environment. We have added backup and cloud mobility to the platform, converging these capabilities based on a foundation of CDP, continuous data protection. And we will continue to innovate with support of new deployment models such as next-gen application like Kubernetes, containers, and SaaS protection. And as we have been expanding our offering, we have received many recognition and awards that you can see here. Okay. So what is happening? What actually triggered us to come to the market? What is happening is a conversion of tools, and our answer to that is our IT resilience platform that converges disaster recovery. That's a lot of things has been said in this market, but each vendor seems to be carrying only one solution that doesn't address a lot of threats and disruption happening in the market, right? Our IT resilience platform mainly designed to reduce the complexity of multiple solutions and the cost. So having said that, if you look at TCO of deploying Zerto versus any traditional backups and replication solution, you pretty much save 50%. All those benefits and value I just talked about underpinned by reduction in TCOs. With Zerto platform, we deliver 50% of total cost ownership savings over traditional non-continuous data protection and DR solutions. We deliver these savings by reducing data loss to seconds. Yes, you read me correctly, that 2 seconds. And downtime to mere minutes, and significantly simplifying ongoing management and administration. And we do this with fundamental architectural and technical choices that together stack up to be dramatically less than everything that's required for traditional backup and replication solutions. So when you look at what's required for those solutions, other solution, whether split out into myriad components or all wrapped up into an appliance, there's so much complexity and hidden cost that what Zerto is providing by eliminating multiple point solution, eliminating vendor and product lock-in. Zerto can reduce your overall TCO while still delivering on SLAs and requirements for your 24/7 demands. So what is our platform looks like? So what we do, let's start from that. So in a simple layman term, we manage, protect and recover and move data or application across premises. Could be from on-premise to cloud, cloud to cloud, or cloud to on-premise back. So any kind of cloud hybrid private tool. So any permutation you could think of, we provide that kind of services, right? So what is a Zerto platform in nutshell, right? As we look at our software platform in more details, keep in mind its foundation is CDP, continuous data protection, bottoms up, right? The always on nature of Zerto means no more scheduling, no more snapshots, no more babysitting backup copies, and zero backup window. We have converged the function of DR, continuous backup, and long-term retention. Plus, Zerto's replication engine is the best in a class for data mobility and migration, whether that's across on-premises or cloud, that some technology unlocks a wide range of other use cases, including for data reuse and on enabling on-demand tests and development sandboxes that are only seconds behind productions. That granularity is also great for ransomware mitigation, security forensic, and number of other security related use cases that our customer increasingly leveraging Zerto for. Then what really makes the magic happen is the orchestration and automation that are built into the platform. All the use case I have mentioned are made possible because how Zerto eliminates manual processes and drive efficiency by taking pain out of data protection. And of course, analytics is included in the platform as well, including out-of-box dashboards and reports that provide complete visibility across multi-site, multi-cloud environments and allow for easy hands-on compliance reporting. It's not just the visibility, we give you the tools to do it intelligently, predictive infrastructure planning to deepen your ability to be proactive. So it's all about catching the problems before it happens or it's bound to happen. All of these available across a wide variety of platforms and cloud, regardless of whether you want on-premise, public cloud, hybrid cloud, or private cloud deployments. We provide deep integration with strategic technology partners, including many of the ones you relies on, like down there is your Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Amazon and HP, Azure, and so on. We make sure all the interoperability between platform, existing stack is smooth, so you don't have worry about what's behind the box when you deploy Zerto. So having said that, what we plan to do, what's our vision, what we deliver to the market, I want to take you into the benefit what Zerto provides. So in summary, the IT resilience platform, right, is all about flexibility, right? The platform benefits an organization and clients for its flexibility to fit into any infra, so that there is no vendor lock-in, and we being software only, there is no additional hardware or appliance required. Mobility is enabled through replication to migrate your virtual machines and applications at ease and with confidence. Simplicity is core of everything we do. So we provide one experience and one platform, whether it's on-premise or on cloud. So user experience has always been very consistent. And whatever your size and number of VMs, you can rest assured that the platform is built to grow alongside your business with our efficient scale-out architecture. Also, lastly, but not least, with this inbuilt orchestration, all that manual DR process and backup process are automated to ensure you save resources and time. So this is kind of the key benefit that you get out of Zerto. So what are the Zerto difference? What we actually make it so different from the others? Of course, our flagship continuous data protection feature. We developed CDP kind of like a decade or 10 years ago and perfected, and it's the most ideal CDP solution in the market that allows or delivers the fastest RPO and RTOs to clients, and that has been very much appreciated. No snapshot, no agents required, but can recover the entire data regardless of size within seconds and minutes. That's amazing delivery that we have done through our platform. Second, hybrid cloud support. As I mentioned, we can do any type of migration, any type of replication, any type of backup between to and fro public and private cloud, hybrid cloud, and in between of all the cloud mentions. And heart of our growth is the way we simplified the DR by providing a scale-out architecture with a built-in orchestration, automation, and analytics. So that is the major difference what Zerto delivers. So I want to take you into the architecture of Zerto, slowly delving you into the journey, how we do it. And I believe by looking at this architecture on your right, this is how we deploy. There are two different important components there: ZVM, Zerto Virtual Manager, and VRA, Virtual Replication Appliance. Both are Zerto's component. ZVM is a application that's run on a VM, Windows-based VM, and provide management. So it's software only. There's no hardware, specific hardware required to deploy Zerto, and it can work on premise or on cloud. You can all our ZVA or Zerto Cloud Appliance is available in all the public cloud platform too, like Azure, AWS, IBM Cloud, and Oracle Cloud, Google Cloud, and so on. Okay, and our design principle as such, right? There's absolutely zero production impact when you deploy Zerto into your environment. We don't install any agents on your VM, on your host. We don't take any snapshots on your host and on your VM, which will need extra resources to do the processing and so on. We track all the block that changes at the hypervisor level, and we will actually transport it using our VRA. So having said that, your VM will not be utilized at all in production. So there's no extra overhead cost in terms of CPUs, in terms of memory, in terms of storage, or any temporary space required to do the processing. All the workload processing happens at the target or the DRC center, disaster recovery center. All right, and this will provide always protected, always on protection. The moment anything changes in your application, let's say your VM is running Oracle or SQL Server or Exchange Server, any changes will be reflected immediately to the target site, and you don't have to worry about scheduling, right? And it's totally hardware agnostic. We provide a software defined disruption to the hardware based replication. So if you have Zerto environment, you don't worry about doing server application, don't worry about doing storage replication at all. In fact, we do it more efficiently because we are application aware application, right? So that's pretty much how our CDP comes into the picture and play the role. One of the important I would say component, right, in our CDP offering is of course the journal file system, or the journal file that we actually maintain to track all the changes. And as I mentioned, is the journal tracks every single change made in your application or server, and it logs these as checkpoint every 5-10 seconds, and even when you have 100 and or 1,000 of servers. This innovative journal can store the change data for 1 hour up to 30 days, and it offers you the unmatched granularity when it comes to recovery. Whenever you need it, you can simply rewind to an old checkpoint and easily recover from that checkpoint time, right? For example, if ransomware hit you at 10 a.m., it's very easy to roll back at 9:59 and 55 seconds and completely mitigate the infection. And this happened with the snap of fingers, so you don't need to actually deploy a lot of rocket scientists just to recover from the evil ransomware attacks. For retention past 30 days, we support long-term retention repositories or backup of many shapes and size, whether simple as NFS or SMB shares, to a dedicated deduplicated appliance or purpose-built appliance, or to cost-effective storage in cloud such as Azure or AWS. This long-term retention feature, or LTR we call it, extends the protection past 30 days and lets you retain the data for the long haul, whether it's 3, 5, 7 years or infinity. And it's worth noting that no matter whether you're pulling from short-term retention or maybe just going back a couple of hours or recovering something that's a couple of years old, that recovery can be entirely virtualized, an entire application or just single VMs of files. So the granularity is maintained, and you won't have any. And of course, Another pain point that we alleviate largely in an enterprise environment is we provide a very consistent recovery of all the applications. So not only that particular servers, but entire group or the cluster of the servers. This is to solve for the challenge of recovering complex enterprise application. As this may comprise of your business servers might comprise of one file server, one DB server, one web server, app server, firewall, and etc. etc. Right? Um, to avoid this inconsistent recovery of multi VM application where each VM is being restored to a different point in time. Zerto have a capability using its CDPE layer to actually take us consistent snapshots or consistent images across the servers. With Zerto, when you creating recovery points, all the VMs will share the same exact checkpoint, so that when the application is recovered, every VM that contains the application spins up from the same cross VM recovery point. So you could have a web server with a database on another VM plus a load balancer and a logging server. All these can come up as a consistent whole in a boot order of your choice without any extra work on your part. This allows you to protect and recover complex multi-VM application together as a unit to the exact same point in the time. This saves tons of resources. When you're trying to reduce the amount of dedicated recovery, this is very handy. So in the age of cloud, right, we got to make sure that whatever solution that we are buying in terms of protecting the data, protecting the server, making sure it's always on, it has the agility to coexist with a different type of architecture. In the world, there is no other solution that can support your cloud journey like Zerto, whether enabling the hybrid cloud deployment or moving or protecting the workload from private to public cloud or vice versa, enabling workload mobility between private clouds, allowing enterprises to remove private cloud and completely migrate the public cloud to support shift to multi-cloud environment. Whatever method or permutation you could think of, we will support in all the right. And last but not least, right, of course, we have the built-in orchestration and automation and analytics. So you don't have to have third-party tools just to work this around. I know many vendors says this, but this is the core tenet of our platform. Actually, we have one experience, one interface, one experience, whether that's on-premise or cloud, and the implementation and deployment is really quick, integrating with your existing tech stacks, and ongoing management and experience made easy, allowing you simply protect and mobilize thousands of VMs and terabytes of data to meet that critical SLA. With orchestration built in, manual process for your backup, and they are definitely automated with easy non-disruptive testing and ability to do it often at any time, even during business hours. We eliminate the reason to have a failure during the actual disaster recovery. And most of our clients says Zoto gives them total confidence in recovery, even a disruption happens with this kind of simulation DR features built in. And finally, Zoto Analytics that provides full visibility and report across your sites, and it ensures full compliance to meet with your regulatory needs, and it provides intelligent, very intelligent and smart predictive infra planning. So how does Zerto delivers value to customers across the globe? Let us look at few customers and how Zerto is delivering that value with our platform. Organizations, large or small, use Zerto for many use cases. And if we look at this example, Starbucks, for example, many organizations struggle with time to spend on operational production support process, and Starbucks were able to decrease the time they spend by whopping 16 times. They reduced the support and production process to help them consolidate. And similarly, right? To United Airlines and HCA and XPO Logistics. So whatever pain point you have in environment, we will able to eliminate that from the IT Resilience platform. So now these are the couple of customers that been using Zerto worldwide, right, in different type of vertical, right, from finance, healthcare, retail, transportation, and telco, and they have been using Zerto to solve their actual problem, right, that exists in a daily IT operation and deliver the business value they wanted. So why Zerto? Again, three main points: CDP, operational efficiency, and multi-cloud agility. So I'm going to take you in a journey exploring all the values that Zerto provides via its features. I'm going to go through with you a case study, a real case study, and I want to make sure that you understand how Zerto being used in that particular environment. What are the features that help them to eliminate the DR, the interruption they're having in their environment. So before that, let me look at a couple of couple of questions that came around, and I will be continuing after the addressing the questions. So let's start with some questions. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or type in the chat. Also, I can address that too. So I got couple of questions here. Let me try to address that. Okay, first question. Are you able to replicate from on-premise VMware to a different cloud, a public cloud environment or platform like Azure or AWS? And how do you actually change the profile and the type of VM doing so? That's a good question. So if you are running on-site uh, uh, virtual environment or using VMware hypervisor, and you want to replicate on-premise to, let's say, to Azure, right, which may have a different properties for its VM. Good question here is how do you use Zerto and change the format like VMDK to VHDX and so on, and what about the properties of the VM like IPs and so on, VLANs and so on. To answer that question is simple. Zerto does the conversion and change in flight. So you don't need to worry about the properties of your VM, even though you're replicating from totally different hypervisors, different servers, different brands. So in this case, we are replicating from VMware to Azure. It works seamlessly, right? So, and you don't need to worry about changing all the properties. That will be done by us, okay, by Zerto, and that be done in flight. All right, and let me just enable the camera so at least you can see some face to it. That's me. While I read out the second question. The second question is, how do you actually protect special applications such as SAP, databases, RDBMS databases like Oracle, MS SQL servers, or MySQL servers, and maintain the consistency point of recovery? All right, this is pretty much always asked questions by a lot of customers because we said earlier, if you remember, that we don't install any agent, we don't install any, we don't take any snapshots on the VMs that been running with this special purpose application like databases or RDBMS like SQL or Oracle or Sybase and so on. So how do we actually maintain the kind of replication consistency when you and recovery consistency when you recover? So if you recall our architecture, right, we always communicate or in sync with the server managers like vCenter or SCVMM. We make sure when we replicate, we manage the same timestamp on the server managers and on our journal file. So this will eliminate the corruption that may happen with the most of the replication solution in the market when they do the recovery at the target site or the DR site. That's the first point, right? The second point is, we use a block level tracking. So we track the block that changes and not the file system that changes, and we replicate that blocks. So in any database recovery, if you notice, there are native tools or any data protection tools they use to protect the databases are basically block based, like Oracle Admin and so on. So the recovery method are pretty much same. So we are able to recover without any specific agent, without snapshots for that particular databases, and just using the CBT or change block tracks. And this saves a lot of headache when you want to do recovery, and you don't have to call your DBA in just to recover your databases, sit in for hours and so on. We click with the snap of fingers, right? And without any agent. So hope that clarifies. And let me switch this camera, and we go back to the presentation mode, where I'll continue with the case studies, right? So these case studies, our aim is to insulate all our features that have been used in these particular case studies. It's for an organization called Tankade. It's a textile group based out of Netherlands, and they've been in business for almost 300 years. They are a global organization that produces solution for the protection of people in their working and living environment. 10K services and products are crucial for safety of people in their companies across the globe. They can't risk the production being paralyzed, their data being compromised. To that end, let's take a look at how they stood against the ransomware attack. Right, they had the first ransomware attack, and that was before Zerto was implemented in the environment. 10K DR strategy relied solely on a backup of tape and disk, which was common practice for organization. During the ransomware attack, an entire file server was affected, and they were susceptible to at least 12 hours data loss. 10K identified that it took them more than 2 weeks to recover that from the attack. And now keep this example in mind. This seems to be like a normal scenario and response for any organization, but this is not normal. This is absolutely not acceptable because it has been a status quo. But what has been available for a long time now, this is definitely not acceptable. Organization need always on an availability expectation for organization. The market is only getting stricter, it's not getting lower. That's why 10K deserve better. So any organization need to have a complete protection plan, not willing to give up entire day, right? um, or any organization must be ready to provide the critical data to serve the customers, and they need maximum protection. Now, what organization need to recover their data not just from ransomware attack, but also from the other force majeure like natural disasters, accident, user deletions, and of course that only can be done with our CDP, right? So let's see what they have done. Of course, they re-evaluated their recovery solution after that incident, and they discovered that there are 4 key advantages with Zerto. Software only platform has over other vendors, and I'll cover these in more details as we grow into it. First, it's a best breed hypervisor based application that is native, agentless, and no snapshot to ensure continuous availability for your business. Second, it has that unique journaling file system and journaling technology to ensure that you can recover and resume point from any point of time, from seconds to years. Third, moving the recovering data has to be about ensuring your application are moved or recovered as a single entity. That means application aware, right? So it's about application aware and consistent as well. Lastly, of course, the simplicity. So because when the disaster hits, everybody will be in panic mode, So you can't really sit and operate something so complicated, archaic, or rocket science. So you need something really simple, like simple to deploy, easy to use, with all the built-in orchestration and automation as well as analytics. So let's look closer on all the points that I mentioned earlier. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, Zerto came into the market to disrupt the complicated replication process that exists in the market, that clients or customers are doing worldwide, like doing storage to storage replication, and doing server to server replication and so on. So we provide software defined replications, purely software based, and it's always on. We revolutionize and simplified replication by moving it up into the hypervisor, and by including all the automation orchestration in one solution. It replaces everything you were trying to do before in all in one simple to use software. So if you notice from what I've been preaching or talking to you earlier, Zerto is 5-in-1 solution. Of course, quickest replication solution, and second, built-in backup, built-in archival or long-term retention, built-in orchestration and automations, and fifth, your total protection against a ransomware. Okay, so this hypervisor based replication removes all or any impact to production at all. Our design principle is such, we don't take any resources on a production. If currently we are running any backup solution, it will take averagely 40 to 50% of your resources in terms of CPU and memory when you run some backup. With Zerto, that is released back to your business servers, and your business servers will be very healthy, even though the replication and the protection is always on. Okay, so this is how it works. So in terms of architecture, let's talk a little bit of CDP and its component. And as I said, ZVM, Zerto Virtual Manager, is easy to deploy and has one-to-one relationship with the hypervisor management component. Either it could be a vCenter or SCVMM, right? It's a Windows application basically. It's the VRA uses scale-out architecture with small footprint. It's spawned from ZVM. You don't have to install it. It has a built-in compression and bandwidth throttling. It also contains key components for backup and resource, so also scale out as a backup architecture. So it continues block level replication, which means there's absolutely zero performance impact, no snapshot, no agents, which equates to RPO of seconds. So all blocks are replicated to the journal in the target site, and the journal, simply put, is a log that contains all the changes that occur in a VM. I think it as like TiVo journals are per VM. They offer seconds to granularity, scales up and down dynamically, and they're configured through SLA setting. History and size can be set as well. Okay. And in terms of journal based recovery, that's something that we always been talking about, right? We discussed how backup window really plays an inherent protection gap, right? If you forced to recover your backup after ransomware attack, for this in this particular context, that simply would not work. So if you have backup 24 hours ago and ransomware hit you like 5 seconds ago, how do you recover? You can't recover 24 hours ago data. You are absolutely at loss, and the ransomware will keep on reappearing, right? So with continuous data protection, CDP, that we provide, and works hand in hand with journal-based recovery, you have the ability to rewind and recover to any point of time. Let's look at this example. How this works, how this process works actually in terms of recovery process. So you simply resort to your last backup window for the servers. Okay, let's say ransomware hits you at 17:01, and you have to go back to your last backup window from the server and hope you can find and recover, first of all. But that has never been a case with Zerto. Because of the CDP, you're able to rewind back in time to a few seconds before it hits, and that's it. Seconds of data, not hours of data. You lose fraction of seconds. And let's look how. So we are writing to our journal and our points in time. So we get hit by a ransomware attack like this 17:01:56. So what do? We roll back to 170151 second and recover. So roll back very quickly with little or no loss. So sometimes you can use the same platform to recover from multiple type of diseases. Yes, there's still sometimes when you can use certain solution for specific reason, but most use cases you can take advantage of a solution and cloud provider that give you access to these capabilities for all your disasters. Now, what kind of data you can recover? That's the second question. So Zerto gives you full ability to recover from any form of data. Really, you can recover entire virtualized data centers, specific site, full application, specific VMs, or even granular files. You're not subject to specific format. You can recover what you need to recover. So part of continuous data protection, continuous data replication, and general base recovery are key requirement to achieve this kind of environment. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is pretty much my favorite, right? Application consistency when recovery. Well, if you do a storage replication, when you recover, you still need to do application recovery or the OS recovery. And this is really complicated, right? To solve for the challenges of recovering complex application, you need to protect VM as a cohesive, logical entity. That way, you avoid inconsistent recovery of multiple VM application. When you're creating recovery points, you got to make sure all VMs should share the same exact recovery point so that when application is recovered, every VM that contains application spin up from the across application recovery point. All this should be guaranteed no matter where the VM is located within the infra. Right? This allows you to actually replicate and recover multi VM application as one cohesive unit to the exact same point in time. This saves tons of resources when you're trying to reduce the amount of time you dedicated for the recovery, right? So let's look at the next, how you actually, recover from short-term retention that you used to replicate, let's say for within 30 days, and a long-term retention that from the backups you've set. Beside offering these options for short-term recovery scenarios, you may have compliance requirement to store data longer than 30 days. So LTR, a long-term retention, data requires different storage recovery times, but must be part of integral data protection system. So as short-term backups, copies should not come directly from production system. You don't need to redo your backup. We can recalculate and give you the full backup, differential, incremental, and for archival too. By this, we are giving you a zero backup window, right? And to summarize, the continuous availability solution, one that meet modern recovery needs and deliver continuous data protection, also composed with CDP, journal based recovery, application consistency, and for backup and retention LTR as well. Now recovery solution is complete, right? It meets your availability needs. Either you want a quick one, you want a long term one, you want intermediate one, anything you want. And the bonus point here is it also makes your organization cyber resilient, prepared. You are totally prepared and your response will be fantastic and quick, right? And we also give you the capability to do simulation DR, and you will be able to test your recovery solution whenever you want it. And after you test, you can create the report like shown in the screen right now, and you can actually file it for the regulation requirement, either any type of a regulation like HIPAA or GDPR, SOX, PCI DSS, and so on. All right. So these are the features that really appealing to 10K, right? Going back to 10K, this is the architecture, right? So let's look at the current architecture after deploying Zerto. So of course they have production site, a replica site, and repositories for long-term retention. The production sites are different from the manufacturing facilities and data centers, and it's located remotely. So when they replicate to the data center, which is a replica site, they also take the data center and replicate out to cloud services. Long-term retention or LTR, they write to purpose-built appliances, basically like data domain and exagrids, HPE1, and so on. Yeah, so that's pretty much the architecture. But what I like to highlight is, the attack, right? What happened is, okay, just give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. right? What is the business objective they get into before Zerto and after Zerto? So you can see the difference here. Okay. DR strategy right now using CDP instead of relying on backup and disk. File affected pretty much the same, but now data loss is 10 seconds and they can recover within that 10 seconds instead of 2 weeks. So this is what actually Zerto have provided to them. Okay, so this is the features that we have built into the environment, virtual protection group, the simulation DR, application consistency, and journal file system that really helps them to reduce and tremendously reduce the time to recover and data loss. So the lesson learned, okay, these are the lesson learned from the event, right? Never say never, that you never know when your organization will be hit by all kind of hazards, right? Take advantage of our expertise in IT resilience and improve and modernize the way you do the replication and backup. Okay, so I have two others, Dotwell Pharmacy too, which eventually recovered from the another type of ransomware called CryptoLocker, right? From 4 to 5 hours recovery into within 15 minutes recovery. And ClearPath Mutual, so that's another type of FSI or financial services provider, and they have really recovered within 15 minutes from the attack too. So these are the example, a couple of case studies how we can eventually provide value. So you can test it out, all these features, without troubling yourself. You can just go to the URL that are given on the website, on the screen right now, and go to the website. You can do everything, simulate ransomware, recover from it, install and try all our applications features as well. Or you can scan this QR code and get the cyber resilience kit from us, and go through it, and probably it's pretty useful for you, handy for you to use against the prepare against the cyber threats. That's, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much of my lengthy presentation today, and I ate up with a couple of others time too. Sorry about that, but I hope this is informational, and thank you for opportunity to speak with you today. And over to you, Ida.
Oke, thank you Raffi. Thank you for this amazing presentation. Oke, bagi Bapak Ibu yang sudah bertanya, nanti pertanyaannya akan saya bacakan pada sesi Q&A. Sebelum ke pembicara selanjutnya, yaitu Bapak Poni, saya ingin mengingatkan kembali nih kepada Bapak Ibu untuk mengikuti acara ini sampai selesai, dan juga mohon untuk mengisi feedback form pada link yang sudah kami share di kolom chat. Dengan mengisi feedback form tersebut, Bapak Ibu akan mendapatkan materi presentasi, rekaman webinar, serta rekap Q&A pada webinar hari ini. Serta berkesempatan mendapatkan door prize dengan hadiah ratusan ribu rupiah. Baik, kita ke pembicara kita selanjutnya, yaitu Pak Poni Halim dari PCMan. Pak Poni, saya persilahkan.
Ya, terima kasih Ida. Ya, semoga suara saya bisa terdengar dengan baik ya.
Ya, terdengar jelas Pak.
Baik ya. Thank you Raffi for your great presentation. Yeah, hope you can still stay with us. Yeah, for the upcoming Q&A sessions ya. After my short presentation. Thank you. Ya, terima kasih Bapak Ibu ya. Tetap silakan bertanya di kolomnya. Nanti Mr. Raffi tetap akan membantu ya menjawab pertanyaan yang masuk, dan jangan khawatir bila waktunya misalnya tidak mencukupi, semua pertanyaan yang sudah masuk tetap akan kita recap ya, dan akan dikirimkan summary Q&A-nya ya. Summary dari Q&A akan dikirimkan kepada semua peserta yang mengisi feedback form ya. Nah, selanjutnya sesi saya sebenarnya lebih kepada recap summary ya, apa yang sudah disampaikan atau presentasi oleh Mr. Raffi dalam bahasa Indonesia. Ya, saya merecap saja beberapa slide-nya sambil mengenalkan kembali mengenai services PCMan bagi yang Bapak Ibu yang mungkin belum familiar ya. Baik, slide saya bisa terlihat dengan baik ya. Slide saya sudah terlihat Kak Ida? Thank you, tolong monitor.
Terlihat Pak Poni, terlihat.
Oke, terima kasih. Ya, baik ya. Mengenalkan kembali ya, PCMan, ya, adalah PT Pasifik Cipta Mandiri, lebih dikenal dengan nama PCMan, bukan Pacman ya Bapak Ibu ya, hanya PCMan. Ya, didirikan tahun 2000, kita adalah IT services company ya, memberikan solution best practice. Kita adalah Zerto ya, authorized partner untuk Zerto di Indonesia yang siap memberikan solusi-solusi backup atau disaster recovery based on Zerto teknologi ya kepada setiap perusahaan yang membutuhkan ya. Kita juga adalah Microsoft partner. Jadi kita memiliki platform dan juga adalah HPE partner. Jadi kita juga bisa memberikan integrated solution untuk backup and disaster recovery solution, baik menggunakan custom data center dari yang dimiliki oleh perusahaan Bapak Ibu atau menggunakan Azure Cloud ataupun menggunakan hard resources dari HPE Enterprise ya. Kita juga adalah model partner, jadi bagi yang tertarik dengan e-learning application juga kita bisa memprovide-nya. Nah, merecap kembali apa yang disampaikan oleh Mr. Raffi tadi ya dalam presentation-nya. Jadi pada dasarnya kita perlu menyadari ransomware attack sekarang ini salah satu tantangan terbesar ya di dalam kita bukan hanya selama masa pandemi, sebelum pandemi dan makin menggiat selama masa pandemi ini karena begitu banyak perusahaan yang sudah menuju full digital, maka ransomware attack ini makin makin memanas juga ya. Dan ini ditarget bukan lagi hanya perusahaan-perusahaan finansial, perusahaan apapun ya. Seperti yang baru-baru ini kita lihat memang Acer ya. Acer kan jelas-jelas bukan perusahaan finansial. Jadi hilang sudah mitos bahwa yang diincar hanyalah perusahaan finansial. Enggak juga. Sekarang semua perusahaan yang memang bisa ditarget karena pada dasarnya semua perusahaan membutuhkan memvalue datanya. Ya, jadi solusi dari ransomware attack ya kita mau seperti yang kita sadari ya, solusi dari ransomware attack tidaklah cukup sekedar antivirus ataupun EDR. Antivirus dan EDR semua adalah bentuk pertahanannya ya, tetapi pertahanan paling akhir mau nggak mau tetap adalah sistem backup data kita ya, karena sekarang ransomware sudah makin targeted. Targeted artinya, waktu dia menyerang ke satu company, itu memang menggunakan exploit, ataupun encryption technology, ataupun ya specific skill yang memang ada atau ditemukan celahnya pada that particular company. Ya, antivirus hanya bisa bekerja dengan cara mengenali ya signature dari suatu virus. Ya, exploit attack begitu pula hanya bisa dilakukan dengan mengenali attack-attack yang sudah ada. Tapi kalau sudah targeted, wah kita masuk ke ranah yang lebih khusus ya, di mana memang hacker team ini bekerja secara sangat advance, sangat canggih ya, terstruktur, terorganisasi untuk mempenetrate suatu organisasi ya, untuk kemudian mengencrypt datanya. Jadi kalau sudah di-encrypt datanya ya satu-satunya jalan yang bisa menolong kita ya cuma dua pilihan, bayar yang biasanya harganya pasti tidak masuk akal kadang-kadang kita tahu tidak masuk akal, minta tebusannya, atau ya kita mengandalkan sistem backup kita untuk merestore kembali. Nah, ini juga yang menyebabkan ya, kalau kita boleh tadi Mr. Raffi sudah men-summarize ya, kalau saya boleh summarize tadi evolusi dari data backup. Kalau dulu ya untuk mission critical application kita lakukan replication. Untuk aplikasi yang lain, kita lakukan periodic snapshot. Ya. Tapi seiring dengan data yang makin kompleks, ya, data yang penting itu tidak lagi bisa selalu melulu kita bilang, ya udah data yang paling penting saya ada di ERP application kita. Lalu bagaimana dengan email atau PO, ataupun mungkin ada file-file yang sudah dikerjakan hari ini, kemarin, kontrak, dan sebagainya. Apakah itu tidak penting bagi company? Jadi, sekarang boleh dibilang, ya evolusinya itu sudah menuju kepada bahwa bukan hanya mission critical application yang membutuhkan perlindungan data terus-menerus, tetapi bisa dibilang seluruh aplikasi kita, ya seluruh aplikasi kita yang mengenerate data itu membutuhkan proteksi secara kontinu. Sudah dijelaskan juga bahwa evolusinya kalau sebelumnya replication itu menggunakan time frame tertentu, misalnya sehari sekali, ya 12 jam sekali, ya RPO-nya 4 jam sekali, dan seterusnya. Nah, maka hal-hal tersebut sekarang sudah tidak bisa dipakai lagi terms tersebut. Mungkin bagi Bapak Ibu yang belum familiar ya dengan istilah RTO dan RPO, saya refresh kembali. RTO adalah Recovery Time Objective, waktu yang dibutuhkan untuk kita meng-up kembali suatu sistem pengganti pada saat terjadi disaster. Ya, nah kalau RTO itu bercerita mengenai bisa sekian jam, sekian menit. Ya. Kalau kita tidak punya peralatan toolsnya, kita masih harus meng-acquire hardware-nya, yaitu bisa bahkan take days ya. Tapi dengan teknologi Zerto, RPO itu bisa ditekan sangat minimal. Tetapi yang paling ditekankan di solusi Zerto ini adalah RPO-nya, Recovery Point Objective. Artinya, RPO ini menjelaskan, mendefinisikan pada saat terjadi disaster, pada saat kita kena ransomware, pada saat mungkin server kita total down, crash, dan sebagainya, kita kehilangan data berapa lama? Gitu. Ya, kehilangan datanya itu berapa lama ya? Nah, dengan replication tradisional yang umum itu adalah setengah jam, ya paling top bisa 15 menit. Walaupun beberapa tools mengakui bisa sampai 5 menit, tapi pada saat implementasi ya akan direkomendasikan jangan menggunakan 5 menit tapi 15 menit ya, atau bahkan lebih sering dari itu turun ke bahkan ke 30 menit atau 1 jam ya. Jadi replication software yang lain itu pada dasarnya walaupun ya seakan-akan menjanjikan continuous data protection, selama dia masih mengandalkan snapshot, ini kuncinya di sini. Selama dia masih mengandalkan snapshot dari hypervisor kita, baik VMware maupun Hyper-V ataupun apapun yang kita pakai, selama teknologi replikasinya masih mengandalkan snapshot dari hypervisor kita, maka otomatis RPO-nya pasti ditentukan oleh snapshot itu sendiri. Nggak bisa enggak, ini logika yang nggak bisa di-bridge lagi. Gitu, ya. Nah, karena best practice snapshot dari hypervisor seperti VMware dan lain-lain ya, itu direkomendasi tidak lebih cepat dari 15 menit. Bahkan sering direkomendasikan sebaiknya di bawah ya, lebih jauh lagi 30 menit. Itu pula ya RPO yang kita bisa capai menggunakan teknologi lain. Nah, Zerto di sini menjawab solusinya ini dengan tidak membutuhkan snapshot dari hypervisor. Ya, solusinya adalah menggunakan continuous data replication and continuous data protection engine ya yang berjalan ya di hypervisor kita sehingga tidak perlu mengandalkan snapshot lagi. Jadi memang key point-nya di sini ya. Bagi Bapak Ibu ya saya bisa kasih heads up bahwa ini memang solusi premium. Jadi kalau di-compare, oh ini apakah Zerto lebih cost efektif, lebih murah, bisa lebih murah dari software yang sudah umum saya pakai ya. Kita sebut saja ya, walaupun ini depannya V semua itu ya. Solusi yang depannya VM itu semuanya itu pada dasarnya mengandalkan snapshot ya. Jadi solusinya sering di-compare. Zerto memang premium karena Zerto hadir di sini untuk menjawab kebutuhan RPO tadi ya. Dan kemudian juga disebutkan tadi bahwa Zerto selain memiliki RPO yang sangat rendah, juga kemampuannya untuk replikasi. Ini dua arah, the true both ways. Jadi dari primary to secondary, kemudian bisa di-switch replikasi dari secondary kembali ke primary. Ya, tanpa perlu ada macam-macam manipulasi dan setup ataupun hal-hal yang membuat downtime dan unpredictable. Karena by design, Zerto memberikan proteksi yang continuous ya dan multi arah ya, dua arah. Dan kita juga bisa memiliki proteksi tambahan dari primary side ke DR side, kemudian sampai ke tambahan third side, yaitu di cloud, misalnya di cloud seperti yang tadi disampaikan, dicontohkan di studi kasus dengan 10K Technology. Nanti kita akan kembali ke sana lagi. Ya. Kemudian Mr. Raffi juga sudah men-summarize tadi ya berdasarkan Harvard Business Review. Jadi suatu organisasi yang disebut resilient ya perlu mengconsider 5 pilar ini ya, harus well prepared, adaptable, siap berevolusi, siap beradaptasi dengan perubahan-perubahan kebutuhan aplikasi ya, dan kolaboratif, trustworthy, dan responsible. Ya, ini pada dasarnya di sini kita ingin meng-highlight preparedness, ya, preparedness dan adaptable. Dua poin ini, ya, tanpa kita memiliki suatu solusi disaster recovery yang komprehensif, kita tidak akan bisa menjawab dua poin besar ini. Ya, summary juga tadi ya, bagaimana ditunjukkan cukup panjang, cukup sangat komprehensif ya presentasi dari Mr. Afi mengenai TCO yang bisa dicapai dengan menggunakan teknologi Zerto IT Resilience Platform. Ya, kita memiliki study paper jika dibutuhkan yang menunjukkan bahwa kita bisa menghemat total TCO kita sampai up to 50% ya dalam jangka waktu yang sesuai dengan kita bilang umur planning dari typical enterprise pada saat mereka membutuhkan solusi disaster recovery dan juga sudah mempertimbangkan semua faktor-faktor terkait, misalnya simulasi adanya ransomware attack dan sebagainya, sehingga dengan Zerto, ya, pada dasarnya kita bisa mencapai organisasi yang resilient tadi, the resilient organization, dengan TCO yang lebih hemat dibanding kompetitor, secara total cost of ownership-nya. Ya. Key point-nya tadi, ya, bagaimana Zerto menjawab tantangan itu adalah tidak menggunakan snapshot tapi menggunakan continuous data replication sehingga kita memiliki suatu sistem berbasis jurnal. Poin teknologi ini sudah di-highlight, sudah dijelaskan tadi lebih jauh di dalam studi kasus dari Tankit ya, Tankit Protective Fabric. Sebenarnya kita juga bisa memberikan studi kasus yang ada di Indonesia, tapi ya maaf, kebanyakan company yang memakai solusi disaster recovery ini belum tidak memperkenankan ya kita mengekspos ya arsitektur mereka ya di dalam secara publik. Nah, Tankit ini memang sudah kita secara internasional sudah sign NDA dengan Zerto, jadi mereka mengallow ya untuk men-share success story mereka. Baik. Nah, kita recap kembali apa yang terjadi di Tankit. Teknologi apa yang dipakai? Zerto punya karakteristik solusi replikasi continuous data protection yang sifatnya always on, berbasis software only. Jadi ini sekaligus menjawab pertanyaan tadi dari salah satu partisipan, Mr. Hartono, kalau tidak salah, yang menanyakan apakah Zerto ini berbasis hardware atau software. Sekali lagi, Zerto ini berbasis software, ya, sehingga dia itu bersifat hardware and storage agnostic. Artinya, dia tidak terkait, dia tidak terikat kepada jenis hardware tertentu ataupun tipe storage tertentu, bahkan juga bisa beda hypervisors pun memungkinkan ya untuk melakukan replikasi tersebut. Jadi hardware and storage agnostic ya, sehingga Zerto tidak terikat kepada tipe hardware spesifik ataupun tipe storage tertentu. Ya, karena dia sepenuhnya software based ya. Kemudian sifatnya yang ketiga tadi adalah no production impact ya, jadi artinya dengan Jet VR engine yang menggantikan snapshot tadi, dia tidak membebani kerja hypervisor kita ya. Salah satu alasan dari hypervisor itu membatasi kenapa snapshot itu tidak boleh terlalu sering adalah itu, setiap kali snapshot pada dasarnya itu akan punya performance penalty ya, jadi makanya dianjurkan snapshot itu paling kecil 15 atau bahkan kalau bisa 30 menit, bahkan dalam kondisi tertentu di rekomendasi hanya beberapa jam tertentu. Jadi artinya RPO kita pun akan sebesar itu. Nah, dengan Zerto, karena dia mempunyai ZVR replication engine sendiri, tidak menggunakan snapshot, dia bisa memiliki replication yang tidak berimpact kepada production. Ya, tidak perlu lagi ada otomatis karena nggak ada snapshot, berarti juga tidak perlu di-schedulekan snapshotnya perlu berapa lama sekali, kita tidak perlu men-tune up-nya lagi, ya, dan tidak membutuhkan agent-agent khusus for snapshot engine kepada VMware kita. Baik. Sorry. Ya, maaf. Layar saya teruskan. Baik. Ya, tadi juga diceritakan bagaimana Tankit kemudian berhasil memperbaiki recovery time-nya pada saat ransomware attack yang kedua, semuanya karena berbekal teknologi journal-based recovery yang ada di dalam Zerto, yang tidak lagi berbasis snapshot. Ya. Dan pada dasarnya, kesimpulan akhirnya adalah bahwa untuk suatu company, ya, ini bisa survive terhadap suatu ransomware attack, ya, supaya menjadi suatu organisasi yang resilient, ya, dan juga bukan hanya ransomware attack tentunya, ya, bisa juga karena kesalahan user ataupun disaster lain, ya, maka perlu memiliki kesiapan dari sisi personelnya juga. Teknologi sudah disediakan, tapi tentu juga perlu kesiapannya dari tim IT-nya, ya. Yang kedua adalah jangan pernah berpikir perusahaan kita itu aman. Ya, jangan pernah berpikir, oh, saya sudah aman, oh, saya sudah punya sistem backup, saya sudah punya antivirus, saya sudah punya ini. Ya. Tapi kita berpikir kembali, misalnya, apakah backup kita memang sudah sanggup melindungi kita dari breach tersebut. Dan jangan pernah berpikir juga bahwa, ya, saya udah menggunakan semua teknologi security terbaru, ya, nggak mungkin lah ransomware bisa masuk, gitu ya. Ya, pada dasarnya, ada satu pepatah yang mengatakan ya maling selalu lebih pintar dari polisi, gitu ya. Itulah yang menyebabkan kenapa ada asuransi. Ya, boleh dibilang Zerto ini seperti asuransinya. Ya, ya setelah memiliki teknologi yang ada, ya kita perlu melakukan testing secara reguler untuk memastikan SLA kita. Ya, jadi kalau tadi ada juga partisipan yang bertanya, SLA-nya Zerto ini bagaimana? Oh, SLA ini adalah sesuatu yang kita define pada saat kita membuat solusinya. Nah, dengan Zerto, kita bisa mencapai SLA yang sangat tinggi, terutama di dalam RPO-nya. Ya. Dengan solusi lain, SLA yang bisa dicapai untuk RTO, ya mungkin sekian jam, ya atau bahkan sekian menit. Tapi RPO mereka paling top biasanya 1 jam 30 menit. Nah, kalau dengan Zerto kita bisa lebih jauh dari itu. Kita bisa mencapai SLA yang lebih tinggi ya menggunakan solusi Zerto. Nah, kemudian secara proses perlu ada istilahnya sistem operasi prosedurnya perlu di familiarize, perlu disosialisasikan ke seluruh tim terkait ya, dan memanfaatkan konsultan pihak luar, expertise, ya, dalam hal ini mungkin bisa dianggap PCMan ya, siap menjadi partner untuk penerapan teknologi Zerto bagi perusahaan Bapak Ibu yang membutuhkan, ya, dan menyadari bahwa perubahan itu tak bisa ditolak, embrace the changes, karena perubahan itu memang adalah menuju kepada perbaikan, ya. Jadi idenya adalah bahwa belajar dari kasus di Tenkit, ya, bahwa kita tidak bisa memandang sederhana ya, tidak bisa memandang bahwa sekedar kita sudah memiliki backup itu sudah cukup. Pada saat mereka terserang dengan ransomware pertama kali, mereka masih lumayan lost, lumayan banyak data ya, karena satu hari kerja bagi perusahaan dengan ukuran 4.000 karyawan, yaitu sudah kita bisa bayangkan berapa besar kerugian produktivitasnya. Apalagi kalau sampai harus kehilangan data, kehilangan produktivitas selama 2 minggu misalnya. Tipikal terjadi pada saat kalau kita hanya memiliki backup. 2 minggu dikalikan dengan 4.000 karyawan bisa dihitung. Itu suatu cost yang sangat besar sekali. Ya, seperti yang sekarang sedang dihadapi oleh Acer Corporation itu sesuatu yang, ya nanti kita akan lihat beritanya itu sesuatu yang sangat signifikan ya, bisa memukul Acer sendiri. Itu bahkan langsung mempengaruhi value stock market ya. Dan terakhir summary dari Zerto solution ini adalah Zerto ini selain storage and hypervisor agnostic ya, maksudnya dia selain hardware and storage agnostic, dia juga sudah mensupport multi cloud ya. Jadi kalau kita ada yang menggunakan teknologi, ada aplikasi kita di IBM yang kemudian memiliki disaster recovery services misalnya dari IBM Cloud, sebenarnya mereka memakai Zerto juga gitu ya, tapi tentu tidak diekspos ya, karena sekali lagi Zerto ini pada prinsipnya karena bagian dari strategic planning suatu enterprise, biasanya company memang tidak akan mempublish ya bahwa kami menggunakan teknologi A dan B ya. Nah, tetapi kebanyakan provider yang bisa mendeliver RPO di bawah 1 jam, di bawah setengah jam itu rata-rata sedang menggunakan teknologi Zerto ini. Ya, Zerto ini bisa diterapkan untuk membangun disaster recovery di suatu private data center seperti yang sudah kita bantu beberapa klien kita. Bisa juga ke cloud-nya juga bebas ya, bisa menggunakan Microsoft Azure Cloud atau cloud yang lain, dan juga bisa hybrid ya, bisa juga tiga poin, replicate dulu mungkin ke satu recovery site, local data center milik perusahaan, ditambah lagi dengan long term retention-nya di store di cloud misalnya, untuk solusi yang lebih cost efektif untuk jangka panjang. Ya. Baik, itu adalah summary dari slide Mr. Raffi, ya. Dan silakan bagi yang ingin tetap mengetik pertanyaannya, sebentar lagi kita akan masuk ke sesi Q&A. Saya minta waktu sedikit saja untuk mengenalkan services ya dari PCMan. Jadi sudah pasti ya PCMan sebagai Zerto Services Partner Indonesia, kami siap memberikan custom solution ya bagi perusahaan Bapak Ibu yang ingin menjajaki atau enhance ya sistem perlindungan backup maupun disaster recovery di perusahaan Bapak Ibu ya. Dan kemudian untuk solusi ini, kalau saya boleh recap kembali, bagi yang belum memiliki disaster recovery dan sedang ingin membangunnya, apa saja sih yang perlu kita hadapi ya di dalam membangun suatu disaster recovery solution ya. Yang pertama memang bahwa ini semua memang terkait biaya, pasti. Ya kan? Key point-nya adalah bahwa ini pasti ada biaya yang lumayan signifikan, jadi lebih penting adalah bagaimana kita memaksimalkan pengeluaran biaya ini. Ya. Kemudian memang ada banyak teknologi terkait. Ya, Zerto di sini sudah meringkas banyak hal, tidak perlu lagi ada software yang terkait dengan hardware tertentu. Jadi software platform Zerto ini, Zerto IT Resilience Platform ini itu siap diterapkan di berbagai jenis hardware ya yang dimiliki oleh perusahaan. Yang ketiga tentunya perlu ada suatu design planning yang komprehensif ya, mulai dari pengoperasian, monitoring ya, sampai ke SOP-nya. Ya, kalau di salah satu peserta juga ada yang bertanya mengenai monitoring. Ya, di dalam Zerto ada dashboard-nya, monitoring system yang akan memantau status ya dari sistem replikasi kita. Ya, sehingga jika ada sistem yang terganggu, dia akan memberikan alert. Ya. Jadi monitoring memang wajib juga ada di dalam sistem disaster recovery solution kita, ya. Dan semuanya ini memang membutuhkan investasi waktu dan biaya untuk membangunnya. Jadi pada dasarnya PCMan siap membantu untuk membangun solusi disaster recovery termasuk backup menggunakan teknologi Zerto ke data center pilihan yang ke data center ataupun ke infrastruktur pilihan dari perusahaan Bapak Ibu ya. Nah, alternatifnya jika ingin lebih simple ya, kita juga menyediakan Integra Office Disaster Recovery Solution. Ini adalah disaster recovery as a service ya. Kita bisa menggunakan solusi Zerto ini untuk memberikan perlindungan backup to cloud directly Azure ataupun backup dulu ke on-premise data center di site kedua dan kemudian long term retention-nya di put on Azure dan ini dibungkus dalam satu biaya tahunan yang flat ya menjadi suatu disaster recovery as a service ya. Nah, ini ada alternatifnya dengan solusi disaster recovery as a service ini ada suatu alternatif di mana kita bisa memiliki suatu bisa membangun suatu disaster recovery center yang berfungsi secara optimal, di-maintain dan di-manage oleh PCMan. Jadi kita memberikan laporan-laporan seperti yang tadi ditunjukkan oleh Mr. Raffi, ya, sehingga bisa dipakai untuk diberikan kepada audit ya yang secara rutin ya. Dan kita juga mengadakan regular testing ya, testing secara periodik ya untuk memastikan bahwa sistemnya memang bisa siap menghadapi permasalahan yang ada dan juga untuk reporting secara rutin yang dibutuhkan oleh manajemen maupun pihak audit eksternal ya. Dan sekali lagi sifatnya adalah open platform, bisa diterapkan untuk operating system berbasis Windows atau Linux, physical server maupun virtualization ya. Baik, untuk solusi dari slide saya sudah selesai ya. Sekarang kita bisa masuk ke sesi Q&A kembali ya, dan beberapa pertanyaan akan saya bantu jawab ya, dan Mr. Raffi juga akan membantu menjawab ya pertanyaan Bapak Ibu. Silakan ya, boleh dalam bahasa Inggris maupun bahasa Indonesia. Ya. Silakan Ida, thank you.
Oke, thank you Pak Poni presentasinya. Ini udah ada beberapa pertanyaan nih Pak, saya langsung bacain aja ya untuk pertanyaan. Oke, ini ada pertanyaan dari Bapak Hartono. Ini pertanyaan untuk for the question for Mr. Raffi. Kindly meet your explanation. Is the Zerto solution that software backup replication solution or hardware backup replication solution?
Thanks, Ida. I don't know. This is a purely software-based replication. You don't have to use any specific hardware, and it's totally hardware agnostic. And to add further to that point, you can have totally different hardware and storages in the production, and you can have totally different hardware and storages at the target site or DR site. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The next question is from Mr. Eric. Yeah, Ida. I'll help the translator. So the question from Mr. Eric is there any real-time monitoring system for this data protection from Zerto, such as can it send notification or things like that? Yeah. So basically the question is that. So yeah. Mr. Raffi, do you want to answer this about Zerto dashboard monitoring system, things like that?
Yeah, sure, Pony. This is a real-time, a near-sync replication based on your RPO. You can do sub-second replication. And if there is any unusual activities on your VM compared to the typical IOPS that be running on a VM, Zerto eventually will give you the notification and warning telling this unusual activity bound to happen in this particular VM, or it's gonna fail. And that's where you need to take the necessary precaution on that particular VM, so the group of VMs, and do the necessary preempted or proactive kind of exercise on that particular VM. So to answer your question, yes, we do provide early warning when we detect unusual activities on your VMs.
Ya, thank you. Ya, jadi semoga menjawab ya pertanyaannya Pak Hartono. Pada dasarnya monitoringnya sudah built-in ya di dalam Zerto Dashboard Monitoring System ya. Dan kemudian pertanyaan selanjutnya, is the replication using the Zerto Resilience Platform is one way only from DC to the DRC side, or does it work the other way around?
Yeah, that's a good question, Hartono. Yeah, it works both ways. You can replicate from production to the DR and DR to production too. Okay, so having said that, it supports both operation of failover and failback from DR to to the production site. And this happens automatically. You just need to specify when you want to fail back from DR to the production, and Zerto will orchestrate and automate the whole operation for you.
Yes, thank you, Raffi. Jadi Pak Hartono ya sudah dijawab tadi ya, and actually Mr. Hartono also asked additional questions on that one. He's giving an example of what happened when we when we are replicating from DC to DRC, and then we do a switchover. What about our live transactional data? Will it still work when the DRC already been promoted as a DC? So I'm sure the answer is definitely yes. So
correct.
While your DRC is functioning as a primary data center, you can keep going on. All your data will keep replication in the reverse way from DRC to DC. So when your DC is ready, the hardware has been restored, everything is normal again, we can just switch back from DRC back to DC. So all data will be in sync. Okay. Thank you, Pak Mr. Hartono. And are there any other questions? Yes.
Okay.
Let me see.
Pertanyaan selanjutnya Pak dari Ardi, dari Pak Ardi.
Okay, Mr. Ardi, yes.
How about the security access? Is there a level of access to access Zerto? Because this is one of absolute security for me.
Now, maybe he's
Yeah,
asking about role-based security
correct.
access to the software. Yeah,
Yeah,
please
correct,
answer it,
Tony.
Rafi.
I think
Yeah.
that's definitely built-in feature in Zerto. So there is a role-based identity you can create within Zerto, integrate with any directory services, and you can give specific role to who actually uses Zerto and what kind of features they can access to it, to configure and to monitor and so on.
Yes, ya. Jadi jawabannya seperti itu ya, Mr. Ardi. Jadi pada dasarnya, yes, Zerto has a role-based access security system. Jadi kita bisa meng-create user tertentu yang punya hak tertentu saja, melihat atau memonitor hal-hal tertentu saja. Sifatnya granular, Pak. Bisa disetting dan kita juga bisa sync user ini menggunakan directory system yang ada, either Active Directory or whatever. Jadi username passwordnya juga tidak perlu bisa sync ya dengan user directory yang kita pakai di dalam perusahaan. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ardi. Next question from Mr. Ardi is okay. Let me try to understand the question. Oh, it is in English already. If currently I'm running VMware vSphere license at one site, do I have to upgrade my other site? I think it's actually Mr. Ardi is trying to ask if my primary site and DRC site is running VMware, and then if my primary site already upgrade to a new version of VMware with Zerto running, so should I also upgrade my VMware on the DRC side in order for the Zerto to keep functioning, or I can upgrade it one by one? I think that's
Okay.
yeah.
That's a very operational question, very practical question. So you don't have to keep the same version of VMware on both sides. That's the first thing. It's not a prerequisite. Zoto can work with different versions and still can maintain the replication. And you can do the upgrade at your own time whenever it's ready. And when you do upgrade, also Zoto protects you. So if anything happens, let's say you want to upgrade VMware 6.5 to 6.7, anything happens and you need to revert, you can use Zerto to revert in split seconds. So so the answer is it's very flexible. You can use totally different versions and you can use Zerto to do the upgrades too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next question is from Mr. Winto. Yeah, in Zerto, the subscription is based on the let me see. Oh, does it based on how much data that we need to recover when it fails, or how does the subscription works? Well, maybe I can help to answer that. Yeah, in
Sure.
Zerto is very simple. It's just a VM based VM based license. Yeah, how many VM you want to protect? That's the license you pay. It is unlimited. It doesn't dictate how many recovery tests you can do. Yeah, it doesn't also doesn't depend on your data size. Just as simple as how many VM you want to protect. Is that the correct answer, Ravi?
Yes, that's a perfect answer, Pony. So we
Okay.
license by number of VM protected and not by any other parameters at all.
Yeah, thank you. You have answered that also in the chat. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah. Next question is okay, let me see. I think we have covered all the answers, isn't it? Oh, there's another one. Okay, from Budi Hartanto, from Mr. Budi, yeah, Mr. Budi. Few of our products are using the instant on capability of the VM. Yeah, so it means that okay, maybe it's asking for a specific features. Yeah, I'm trying to rephrase what Mr. Budi is asking. Few of our products are using the instant on capability of a VM or a database. It means that the files does not need to be restored, can be used. I think this is referring to a particular features such as power restore of the Vim or of the SRM. It means that they can use the VM without restoring. Yeah, I think that's what Mr. Budi is asking. So is there
Yeah.
any comparable capability in Zerto with that?
See, we are way better than that. So any instant on or always on application level capability, I mean, from VM or from the application itself, the problem is it's garbage in, garbage out. So if your file is being replicated, is already corrupted, you are having a copy of corrupted, right? With Zerto, that's not an issue because you can rewind and recover before the corruption happens. Okay. So Zerto is far superior in terms of just instant on or just always on kind of other off-the-shelf products, which doesn't have the journal file system, and that gives the flexibility and capability to the users to rewind and recover the images or the save sets.
Thank you, Rafi. Yes. So the last question from Mr. RD is, what happens if a user forgets his password? Well, this is simple. If you are already using type your authentication system to your existing directory services such as Active Directory, the admin can just reset the user password. But if you are not using that directory services, maybe you're using a local security account provider from Zerto. Yeah, I'm sure the administrator of Zerto can also reset the user's password. Am I replying correctly, Mr. Rafi?
Yeah, you're correct. So basically,
Okay.
the credential we use to authenticate Zerto is very much follows the AD or the directory services or the local server's password. So you know, you got to make sure that you don't forget the local server's password anyway.
Yes.
And with Active Directory, you need to reset it from the Active Directory or any directory services that you have.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I think we have covered all the answers. Yeah. For now. Yeah. Maybe there will be more answers coming up. Sorry, more questions coming in. Yeah. We will be happy to answer it offline. Yeah. Seperti yang tadi saya sampaikan, we will be summarizing all the questions and answers here in this session. Yeah. And we will send it all to you who have filled in the feedback form. Yeah. And one last thing dari kami, just want to remind that we are doing a campaign on this, on this Zerto backup. So we are giving a free consultation, to give you a free assessment on how you can protect your application and data center. After this webinar, all the participants, we will be sending an email, containing a form that you can fill in if you want to. You can fill all your servers, spec and application. You can omit anything that is confidential, no worries. And after that, we can give you a free assessment of how you can achieve disaster recovery solution, with all the alternatives that are available. So maybe this will be serve as a roadmap for your company if you want to consider disaster recovery solution using Zerto IT Resilience Platform. Okay, that's a free clinic from us. And then back to you, Ida. Thank you, Rafi.
Oke, thank you Mr. Raffi and Pak Poni for all the answer. Semoga apa yang sudah disampaikan bisa bermanfaat untuk Bapak Ibu semua yang ada di sini. Oke, seperti yang tadi sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Poni, jika masih ada pertanyaan boleh masih bisa disampaikan di kolom chat, nanti akan kami bantu jawab dan akan kami kirimkan melalui email.
Thanks, Pony and Ida, for the fantastic session, and thanks everybody for staying on and keep the questions coming. Right, thank you very much, team.
Thank you, Mr. Rafi. And one more thing, Mr. Rafi also has posted in the chat. There is the link, for you to sign up for on-demand access and learn and explore Zerto platform in a self-paced lab environment. This is a very useful environment that you can learn, what Zerto can do without affecting your production system. All the simulation, the self-paced learning environment is there. So feel free to visit the link. Bisa masuk ke linknya, sign up, free, no obligation, tidak ada kewajiban apapun, silakan. Dan kita bisa melakukan beberapa simulasi terkait fitur Zerto ini. Terima kasih. Silakan, Ida.
Oke Pak, jadi bagi Bapak Ibu misalnya ada pertanyaan ingin lebih detail lagi bisa langsung kontak ke PCMan. Oke, baik untuk Bapak Ibu yang belum mengisi feedback form, saya akan memberikan waktu sekitar 3-5 menit untuk mengisi guna untuk mendapatkan slide presentasi, rekap Q&A dan juga rekaman webinar dan juga berkesempatan untuk memenangkan door prize di akhir acara. Iya, semuanya sudah mengisi. Kita langsung ke pengundian saja. Pengundian door prize ini akan ada 3 pemenang, di mana juara pertama ini akan mendapatkan Rp300.000 saldo e-wallet, saldo OVO atau GoPay. Juara yang kedua akan mendapatkan Rp200.000 dan juara ketiga akan mendapatkan Rp150.000. Baik, saya akan share screen untuk pengundiannya. Sebentar ya, mohon ditunggu Bapak Ibu. Iya, kepada Bapak Ahmad Iwan. Selamat kepada Bapak Ahmad Iwan mendapatkan Rp150.000.
Pak Ahmad Iwan.
Iya. Mohon juga untuk absen ya Pak di kolom chat. Oke. Selamat kepada Bapak Yong Ong. Bapak Yong Ong mendapatkan Rp200.000. Pak Yong Ong selamat ya. Jangan lupa di absen juga di kolom chat. Bapak Dinur. Yeay, selamat Pak Dinur. Bapak mendapatkan Rp300.000. Oke. Oke, baik. Selamat untuk kepada para pemenang. Jadi untuk para pemenang ini, untuk hadiahnya, kami kirimkan paling lambat 3 hari kerja dari hari ini. Oke, baik. Tidak terasa sekarang kita sudah di akhir acara. Jangan lupa untuk follow akun sosial media kami di @PCManID untuk Instagram, Pasifik Cipta Mandiri untuk Facebook, dan PCMan Indonesia untuk LinkedIn. Juga jangan lupa untuk subscribe official channel YouTube PCMan di PCMan ID. Oke, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada para pembicara. Thank you to Mr. Raffi for answering those questions and for the great presentation. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Oke, terima kasih banyak juga untuk Pak Poni Halim yang sudah memberikan insight dan juga solusi-solusinya. Semoga apa yang sudah disampaikan dapat bermanfaat untuk kita semua. Dan tentunya terima kasih juga untuk Bapak Ibu yang telah mengikuti acara sampai akhir sesi. Sampai berjumpa di sesi webinar selanjutnya. Saya Khairul Musbida pamit undur diri. Stay health and stay safe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.